I
Yeah. So we survived. It's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out. I'm looking forward to kind of peeling back the layers and getting into your work and what you do. So thank you.
Sure. Yeah, no, thank you for having me on.
Yeah. So let's begin with, I know we're getting all fatigued by talking about COVID, but it was such a big moment for so many people. How did you ultimately survive that time period, and how has it changed the way that you do work and things now?
So, COVID, um, I didn't have my coaching business during COVID. Thankfully, I was able to homeschool my son at that time because he was online.
Yeah.
My husband was able to work from home, and he was actually going through a medical crisis when COVID first started. So, we weren't able to be around anyone, no family, go anywhere, do anything. It was really difficult. So that's when I did the bulk of my online training. I thought, well, if I'm gonna be inside, I might as well make some use out of it. So I just started taking, that's when I took my life coaching course. I took a year-long mentorship in self-inquiry. And I started teaching yoga online and doing yoga nidras online and, just trying to survive through through that whole thing.
Yeah. So you do have a lot going on right now. So I want to kind of get to the heart and soul of what you do on a daily basis. So I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at career day. And one of the curious kids says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
So I help women who have been in bad situations make themselves feel better about themselves. And so they can go on and be happy in their life.
So what did you want to be in the third grade when you were in that position? What was your dream?
A lawyer.
Oh, okay. Did you get into
Yeah.
law?
I moved out here in 2006 and went to law school. Yeah, I'm in Arizona. Yep,
Okay.
and I did go to law school. However, I got really sick and I needed to kind of take a break. So
Yeah.
I didn't actually finish, but
But that was the dream.
I've tried for years to go back, but things just roadblocks kept coming up, and I thought, well, that's not my path. That's not what I'm supposed to be doing. So um, this is my path.
So let's go back to your childhood. What were some foundational elements that were planted that made you want to get into law, that ultimately made you become a teacher and a coach? How did all of that kind of evolve and transpire into who you are?
So I've wanted to be an attorney since I was 5. I don't really remember how that obsession started. Um, I mean, my first goal in life was to be, I don't know, I don't know if you remember back to the 80s, but remember Solid Gold.
Oh, yeah, of
There was,
course.
okay, yeah, I wanted to be a solid gold dancer when
Yeah,
I
of
was little.
course.
I mean,
Yes.
that was my ultimate goal. And then I wanted to be a lawyer. Um, And as I got older, I did kind of work towards that. I was always really interested in psychology. I started studying serial killers when I was 13. Not really a normal 13-year-old thing to study, but it fascinated me.
Yeah.
And I was able to start college my senior year in high school. And I ultimately went for a psych degree. And then I met someone who and got into a relationship with him, and he was very abusive. And I went through domestic abuse, and which ultimately almost ended my life.
Wow.
So that's kind of what's led me down this path. I moved away from my hometown. I went into hiding. I had a 3-week-old baby at the time. And I just knew that if I was going to be able to live and put one foot in front of the other, and be a mom, I was going to have to get away from there. I was going to have to do something with my life. Um, I met my now husband and we moved to Arizona and I basically started over. It wasn't easy, but I didn't want to stay stuck.
Yeah.
So these years have kind of led me to this understanding that I was put there in that situation for a reason.
Yeah.
And now I use my voice to help other women. I didn't have that when I was going through my situation at all. Um, so I have become the person that I needed back then.
So, who has been that hero or inspiration for you to overcome these challenges that you've gone through and to ultimately find the vocation that's the best for you?
My daughter,
Yeah,
I did this for my daughter. I wanted her to know that she could, number one, do whatever she wanted. And number two, that I didn't want her to be in a situation like I was. I wanted to teach her the red flags, the things to look out for. I wanted to instill good self-esteem in her and let her know that she is autonomous and she can, you know, be anything and do anything, and she doesn't need anyone else because everything she has is within her. That was the biggest thing I wanted to instill in her, was to just be self-sufficient, independent, and know and own your self-worth. So she's, and her and I've kind of grown up together. I mean, I was young when I had her,
yeah.
and I think I think that ultimately has made me a better mom. Just teaching her how to set those boundaries, and it's the same things that I teach now.
So, let me ask you this. If you could meet, you're a survivor and a thriver is in your bio, and obviously you've gone through a lot. If you can meet anybody out there that has kind of gone through your similar situation to a certain degree and spend some time with them, someone that you look up to, who would that be?
Someone that I look up to,
Yeah, someone you admire. Yeah,
any survivor who has said enough. I want something more for my life.
yeah,
I think I would like to just sit down and have conversations with them and learn their stories, how they got out, what they're doing now. Um, just being a part of the collective,
yeah.
I think would be the biggest thing for me.
So, what is the motivation for you every day to get up and to do this work, to heal yourself, to help others get to a better place, to be that teacher and that coach? What is that ultimate evolution for you every day?
I do it because I know that there is life out there. There is life on the other side of abuse. There is life on the other side of trauma. And there is, we get one of these, and I want to live it to the fullest. I don't want to live in fear. I did that. I did that for so long where I became agoraphobic. I was so afraid to leave my house because of that fear he was going to find me. And I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah,
So I get up every day and I'm put one foot in front of the other. And, it's a daily basis healing journey for me. I do yoga. I still do self-inquiry on myself. I still coach myself. Um, and I do that because I don't want to feel like that anymore.
yeah.
I don't want to feel the fear. I don't want to feel stuck. I don't want to feel like I have no purpose in life. Like, this is my purpose, and I know that and I accept that.
So, of everything that you've done in your life and evolved into and overcome, what are you the proudest of?
Where I am,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, let's say you had a dream tonight. You could run into the 18-year-old version of you. You could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've led, the wisdom you've gained along the way. What advice would you impart on that version of you?
You are worth so much more than you think you are.
Yeah.
Um, there is a whole life out there waiting for you. Don't settle. Go live it. Don't be afraid. Just Yeah, go be free.
So at this point in your life, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think that I am strong and resilient and kind and optimistic, hopeful. Um, I think that I am who I need to be authentic with myself and live authentically in the world. It's taken me a long time to get to this point, but I make no apologies. I am who I am. I've hid for so long. Um, my mom will tell you, like, you've changed, but I like you like this.
Yeah. So we're living in very interesting times here in America. If you could get into a time machine and go back to another time and see it all unfold, where would you go?
You know what? I always said, and this is a running joke in my house, that I love the 80s. I mean, the 80s, I grew up in the 80s. It was a
Yeah.
simple time,
Uh-huh.
you know, go out, ride your bikes. The commercial comes on at 10 o'clock. Like, parents, you know where your kids are? Because we were outside all
Yeah,
day,
of course.
streetlights were, streetlights told us when to come home,
Yep.
People talked, people were, everybody just, there was like this community feeling. And I grew up in a really small town, and I miss that feeling where
Yeah.
things were just so much simpler. And my husband jokes, he's like because I still love 80s music. I still listen to it all the time. My kids know 80s music. I mean, um, my husband will joke, like, you didn't leave the 80s followed you. So I'm like, yeah, they kind of did. I like that time. The music was great. I mean, I don't know, there was just this generation
Yeah.
of people that, we were discovering who we were, and,
Yep.
there was so much going on, and it was just a great, great time.
I agree. I lived it too. And it was like there was a simplicity, no cell phones, total
Yeah,
adventure, exploring your world. Shows were a little cheeky and funny, but we
yeah,
eventually evolved into better TV, but it was still fun for what it was. I totally
right.
get it.
Yeah.
So if anyone out there wants to hire you, learn more about you, reach out, any other good business, where's the best place to go?
My website would be the first place I would go to.
Okay.
That's got everything on there about me, about what I offer. I even have a couple of freebies on there. I've got a free meditation. I've got a free guide on healing after trauma that you're more than welcome to. But that would be the first place I would start, and you can always book an appointment from there.
Sounds great. Danielle, thank you so much. Thank you for your story. It's been wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely.